So our next comedian up is Scott Fulton. Give it up for him. Make it hot. Woo! Scott.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Good night. How are you guys doing tonight? So, my whole shtick or whatever is to tell some family stories. So I'm going to share some of my most intimate family stories with you guys tonight. So, a little louder up here, okay. Clearly I don't do this on a regular basis. So, I'm going to share a story about my parents' 25th wedding anniversary. We went to this really nice restaurant. We take a limo, we're going over there, and we're riding over, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to have to probably get up and say something. I'm the firstborn, oldest child, okay? And so I'm thinking, what am I going to say? So I'm thinking, okay, they were married December 5th, 1970. I was born April 5th, 1971. Now, I was premature, but not that much premature. So I get up to dinner, and I'm like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to tell a story that you've never heard before. We've all had these stories that the parents, we did shit, when we were younger, and the parents they've never heard it. So I'm going to tell this story. I was like, you guys have never heard this. You remember the house, when we moved into the house on Cedar Crest? The backyard goes into the cemetery. It's, as a kid, I was in, I think, 3rd or 4th grade when we moved in. So that age is kind of scary. Cemetery, you don't know, so in our landing in our house, we go up the steps, and there was a window. It looked right out onto the cemetery, and you see this mausoleum, and it was scary to see this. You don't know what this is. So I had a hard time falling asleep at night. So what I would do is I'd sneak into their room, and I'd lay on the floor beside their bed because I couldn't fall asleep. When they would sometimes get up and step on me, God damn it, Scott, get back in your room. What the hell are you doing in here? And I'm like, well, I can't sleep. So one night I thought, I'm going to go in here. I'll get you. You're not going to catch me. So I get in there, sneak in, like army crawl, real slow, so they're not going to hear me. Get in there, sneak under the bed, laying on my back, just trying to fall asleep. They decide they're going to get frisky. And they have this old brass bed that makes a lot of noise, and they decide to have sex. They're going at it. I'm laying down there. The box spring's hitting me in the nose. And I can't say anything because I'm not going to get my ass beat if I say something. So I don't say anything. They're done. I sneak out. I go back to my room. Never sneak back into their room again. So, another great childhood story. This is before the house at Cedar Crest. We lived in a trailer park. Now, my parents, very young. Mom had me. I'm the oldest of 3 children. Mom had me when she was very young. So they were basically children raising children. So we live in this trailer park, and on Sunday morning, all these church buses would come through the trailer park to pick up people up to take them to church. My parents got this brilliant idea is we'll take the 2 oldest kids, dress them up, send them to church, we'll stay home and have sex the whole time. So they would send my brother and I, whatever bus was coming through, Southern Baptist. We get on the bus, ride it to church. They stay home, proceed to do whatever. My brother and I'd come home. So we'd do this every Sunday for like 2 or 3 months. And they would send this note about after 3 months or so, hey, we're going to have this baptism next week. We'd like to baptize your children. Mom's like, nope, you're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. So next week, we're Methodist. We're getting on the next bus coming through. We'd do that for a couple more months. Then we're Presbyterian. We're just switching it up so they can stay home and do whatever. We'd come home from church, and my dad would be in the kitchen cooking breakfast, and he'd say, did you guys see Jesus today? What did God have to say to you? He would just mess with us. But my brother would say, our family's like dysfunction. We put fun in the word dysfunction. So, I want to share, it's a holiday season. So I thought I'd share a couple holiday stories. So, like I said, I'm the oldest. My brother's the middle child. I didn't care for him. Didn't want him to be around. I wanted to be the only child. So he was born. I was pissed. My mom tells me stories about when he started learning to walk, I would trip him, knock him over. He would build shit with blocks. I'd kick it over. I'd knock it down. I really didn't want him. I was like, no, I'm the only child. I want to be the only child. I was like, there's a way I could get rid of his ass so I could be an only child. It'd be great. Then my sister was born. I'm like, nope. I can get rid of one, get rid of two. No, that'd be too suspicious. Can't do that. So I really did used to fuck with Brett a lot when he was little. And this is one of the stories where I really messed with him. It was Christmas. I think I was in 4th grade. So he would have been in 1st grade. For Christmas that year, my aunt got me a Santa Claus hat. You know, the red hat with the white ball and all. So I got this hat. And so it was like a day or two after Christmas, before we go back to school on Christmas break. I told Brett, I said, this is Santa Claus's hat. He goes, how'd you get Santa Claus's hat? I'm like, well, he fell off our grandparents' roof. Because we used to go up to my grandparents on Christmas. He fell off our grandparents' roof, and he broke his neck and died. So that's how I got his hat. And Brett's like, what? You know, what? Santa Claus is dead? And I'm like, yeah. Totally messing with him. I thought he forgot about it. I just messed. So we go back the first day back to school after Christmas break. And what's he do? Goes right into 1st grade class, tells the whole 1st grade class, Santa Claus is dead. My brother's got his hat. Can prove it, he's dead. So what happens? Whole 1st grade class screaming, crying, Santa Claus is dead. What the hell? So what happens? I get called to the principal's office. So what do I have to do? They said, did you really say this to your brother? I'm like, yeah, I did. Guess what? You need to go to the 1st grade class and tell them that Santa Claus is not dead. So I had to go down to this whole 1st grade class and explain to them, Santa Claus is actually alive and well, and he'll be here next year. Yeah, so my brother, love him now, hated him then. How much time do I have? Okay, 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to tell this last story. So I'm an officer of the court, okay? Don't normally like to tell work stories, but this is a kind of a story that I kind of have to share with people. So one of the things we do is this guy got convicted of a DUI, okay? So I had to meet with him after he was convicted with DUI and had to go over his terms and conditions of probation. So I'm sitting down going over his terms and conditions. Before I do that, I read their police report so I can see what happened, kind of thing. So going over his terms and conditions, and he, when he was pulled over, he had a bowl on him. He had a pipe, marijuana pipe. So I told him, I said, we're going over terms. I said, hey, saw when you were pulled over, you had a bowl on you. And he goes, yeah. I said, well, how often do you smoke weed? When was the last time you smoked weed? So he told me, I said, okay, I'm not going to test you today because you're going to be positive. I'll have you come back in 3 weeks. And if you have not smoked since then, when you come back, you should be clean. He's like, okay. So I schedule him back in 3 weeks later. He comes in, gives me a urine. I test it. He's positive. I'm like, all right, dude, what's going on? Either you lied about how much you smoke a hell of a lot more, or you continued smoking in the last 3 weeks. He's like, man, those tests aren't good. I'm like, yeah, they're good tests. I mean, they're valid tests. The judge recognizes they're good tests. It's your urine making these positive. He's like, no, there's no way. I'm like, watch, we'll do another drug test. Your urine, put the test in there. Watch, it's positive. He's like, there's absolutely no way that I'm positive. I'm like, no, these tests are good. You were the one. He's like, no, there's no way. I'm like, why are you so adamant that you shouldn't be positive today? And he said, well, my girlfriend doesn't smoke marijuana, but I drank her urine earlier today before I came in here. He thought that if he drank her urine, he would pee it out when he came in the office. Now, I try not to laugh at people, but I'm like, dude, this is why they call this stuff dope. Yeah. So, thank you.
All right, give it up for Scott one time.